What's up, NFL fans? I'm Amari Hunt, the czar of the playbook, and don't forget to check out and purchase your copy of our latest football game plan book, Stiff Arming Football Myths. We have these available in both PDF and paperback form. Welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Amari Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Bring you my 2015 NFL Draft Prospect Rankings video. We're taking a look at the wide receiver position. We're going to look at my top 10, some small school prospects, as well as some sleepers that you want to keep an eye on. First, let's take a look at what goes into my prospect rankings. These are trait focused instead of level of competition focused. I don't care where you play because traits translate. And number two, 3-game minimum. Your best game, your worst game, and the best competition or matchup. And these rankings are not indicative of where I think these guys will actually go in April's draft. And this year, we're going to rate the receivers in a different way. We're going to grade the prospects and rank them according to the best position fit at the next level, whether or not they're a split receiver or X, a flanker or a Z, slot, which could be either a Y or S, depending if the tight end is on the field. The slot back is what it is called in Canadian football, but we're going to call it the F position, which is your fourth receiver, and your utility player, which could be your fifth wide receiver. And Amari Cooper kicks off our list as the number 1 rated X receiver in this draft class. 6'1", 207 pounds, a junior, excellent hands, a very fluid athlete, and he does a great job in tracking the football, which is why he's able to make big plays deep down the field. And I think he's also a guy that does a great job in blocking. Now, he doesn't explode out of his breaks. I think that's something he's going to have to get a lot better at as a pro. Coming out of the gates fast, exploding out of the breaks, he could find himself open more often than not. But overall, first round grade, and reminds me a lot of Reggie Wayne that plays for the Indianapolis Colts. Next up, I believe Devante Parker out of Louisville is a Hakeem Nicks clone at 6'3", 210 pounds. Here's a guy that has excellent hands. He's very physical. He understands body control, and I think he has a very good catch radius. You can put the football anywhere in his zip code, and he will go make the catch. Now, he's not overly explosive, which leaves him susceptible to getting jammed at the line of scrimmage. I believe he'll have to get better at getting off bump press as a pro. But when you look at his physical skills, once that football is in the air, no one goes and gets it better than Devante Parker. Not to brag, but I watch a lot of football, and that's how I'm able to compile such a comprehensive list of these prospects. So when you look at Darius Davis out of Henderson State, and I have him as a first-round type prospect, trust me when I say you won't find no one, maybe other than Kevin White from West Virginia, who's as explosive and is a game breaker and dangerous with the ball in his hands. And I think this guy also tracks the ball very well when it's in the air, and he can play inside or out, and he has a very good frame at 5'10", 5'11", 215 pounds. Now, he doesn't always run the crisp routes that you would like to see from a receiver, and at times he can get lax in letting the ball get into his body, which could be an incomplete pass if he's getting hit at the same time. But overall, like I said before, a very explosive player, and he would dominate as an X as a pro and plays a lot like Jordy Nelson of the Green Bay Packers. What I like most about Justin Hardy out of East Carolina is that he's competitive and he plays with a passion. You saw this throughout the course of his career at East Carolina, being a former walk-on. And when I was down at the Senior Bowl, you saw it each and every practice. He plays with a chip on his shoulder. Here's a guy that has dependable hands. He's physical, and he's an excellent route runner, and also has ability as a punt returner, so you can utilize him in your special teams as well. Now, he's not overly explosive, and he must use his hands a lot better to beat press. But when you look at a solid pro projection for him, look no further than Pierre Garçon that plays for the Washington Redskins. I got the chance to see Adrian Coxon live versus William & Mary this year, and I came away impressed with how he plays. He plays the game a lot like Greg Jennings of the Minnesota Vikings. He has very good football IQ. He's an elite route runner, and he gets to his top speed very quickly. He has very good hands. Now, he's not a speed guy, but he can get open, and consistency versus press coverage will be the key for him as a pro. But again, solid second-round talent, in my opinion, and one of the better wide receivers in the country. And you saw Coxon have some of the best games versus the better competition. He did a great job versus Byron Jones of UConn. He also had an excellent game versus Syracuse. So this is a guy that can put up the production versus top talent. I think he's one of the elite receivers in this draft class. Dorial GreenBeckham out of Oklahoma, formerly of the University of Missouri, at 6'5", 225 pounds, will probably be the most polarizing figure in this year's draft class regardless of position. Now here's a guy on the field. He's an excellent jump ball 50-50 pass type catcher, and he's money on certain routes. Your 7 route, which is your post, your 8 route, which is your post corner, and your 9 route, which is your go route, and he plays big, and that's exactly what you want to see from a guy that's 6'5", 225 pounds. Now, where he has to get better, he's not a Sutton player. Because he's so big, he doesn't have the quickness, and he's also inconsistent with catching the football on the shorter routes, your slants, your speed outs, those type of routes. He tends to drop those more often than what you want to see from a quote-unquote number one option dropping the ball. You don't want to see any drops. You want to see him catch everything thrown his way. And he also is coming off a year away from the game. Yes, he practiced all season long at Oklahoma. That's not the same as playing versus live action against different opponents. And you wonder what got lost in the lost season, because the lights started to come on that second year at Missouri. So we have to wait and see. But overall, from what he has put on the field, I think it is worthy of a second round grade, and he does have good potential, good growth potential as a pro. I'm a big fan of Trey McBride's game out of William & Mary, 5'11", 190. I got the chance to see him twice this year live, one versus Stony Brook during the season, and 2 down at the East-West Shrine game in St. Petersburg, Florida, where he had a tremendous week of practice. Now, he also has excellent polish with his routes. He's one of the more savvy route runners in the game. He has excellent body control and hands. He catches everything thrown his way, and he's willing to sacrifice his body for the catch, and he also gives you that added benefit of being a kickoff returner. Now, he's not the quickest guy, so he's not a shifty player, which is why I project him as an X at the next level, but he's another player, just like Coxon, that has dominated his level of competition and also stepped up big time versus the bigger teams like a West Virginia. He played exceptionally well, like Virginia Tech, where he had a big time game. And again, another one of these CAA performers coming out of the FCS with big time game. And I liken his game, his style, to Derek Mason that played for the Tennessee Titans and the Baltimore Ravens. Checking in at number 8 on my list is Desmond Lewis out of Central Arkansas. Had a great career down there in Conway, Arkansas, coming out of the South Point Conference. He also had an outstanding week of practice at the Senior Bowl. He's a big-bodied wide receiver that fights through contact. I love that about his game. He also is an above-average route runner that has good hands, and he also wins those 50-50 balls a lot, and he accelerates well through his route and out of his breaks. Now, he's a little stiff athletically and also not as sudden as you like, but when you look at a pure X receiver that will be dealing with the safety and the corner on one side, I think he can win more often than not, which is why I think he's going to have a fine career as a pro. Sammie Coates out of Auburn plays the game with a childlike passion, and I love that about his game. Now, also on the field, he eats up cushion very well and has a big play potential, and he knows how to play big. He actually plays bigger than 6'2", 215 pounds. Now, he's inconsistent in catching the football over his shoulder, and he also struggles in tracking the football. If it's in front of him, he can catch it, make a move, get upfield. So that's why I believe he's better suited as an X. Well, I would run those shorter routes to his side, those hitches, those slants, those curls, allow him to come back, catch the football, then turn upfield and get you a big play. I've seen Fordham play live 3 times in the last 2 seasons, and each time I've come away more impressed with their coaching staff and how well those receivers operate in space. And Sam Ajala is the number 1 threat for the Fordham Rams. And here's a guy at 6 feet, 195 pounds, runs tremendous routes, and also has those very good hands that you look for. He's a physical player and doesn't mind going over the middle of the field. Now, he isn't the quickest guy, and he doesn't always explode out of his breaks into his routes. That's something that he's going to have to become a little bit more consistent at the next level. But overall, I compare his game and his style to Allen Hurns that plays for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And rounding out my X-receivers list, you look at Josh Harper out of Fresno State, productive career for the Bulldogs. He can make the spectacular catch look routine. He also shows very good body control. Now, he wants no part of traffic over the middle of the field. He's not a physical player, which is why you want to keep him on the outside. I think he can operate well as an X. If he can get a little bit stronger, he won't get bodied through routes like he does at times during games. So again, he's going to have to get stronger, have to get a little bit more physical at the point, but overall plays a lot like Lance Moore. And I know Lance Moore plays mostly in the slot, but I think his style of play is what you see from Josh Harper, who I think can excel on the outside. Now let's recap my 2015 NFL Draft prospect rankings for the receivers, the X position only, and I have these color-coded by round grade. First round prospects being graded in red, second round being blue, third round prospects are in green, and there are no fourth round prospects I graded out for the X position. So the fifth round prospects you see, Sam Ajala and Josh Harper, are in purple. So again, these are the guys that I think can play X at the next level, can excel in that capacity. So stay tuned as we break down the Z position, also known as the flanker.